Happy Labor Day to all of you out there. Hopefully you are enjoying your day off. But of course, here at Brother Counsel Studios, as well as BCU, Brother Counsel University, that is, we are not even taking a single day off. We are still hard at work over here, bringing you the content that you have come to expect and enjoy. Now, we have not recapped yet day 6 in Donna Adelson's trial, and it's definitely a very interesting day that we have to talk about before we move on to day 7, which is scheduled to begin tomorrow, 9 a.m. You should definitely join us right back here at Brother Counsel Studios for day 7 of the live stream of Donna Adelson's trial. And it's a very interesting day because what's going to happen on day 7? Is Charlie Adelson going to take the stand and talk about the extortion theory? Is Donna Adelson going to be called to the stand? And if not, well, they're going to go straight to closing arguments. So definitely not a day that you're going to want to miss. Join us right here 9 a.m. tomorrow, Tuesday, for day 7 of Donna Adelson's trial. Now, before we jump into the recap of day 6, there have been a lot of requests for BCU swag. After all, you want to show that you're a proud member of Brother Counsel University. So here we go. We went back to the lab to develop the t-shirt of BCU right there, thanks to the artwork of the very talented Lynn Marie right there on the t-shirt. So if you'd like to show your pride in Brother Counsel University, the link will be in the description and you can order yours today. All right, let's jump into the testimony in day 6. So we continued with Pat Sanford. Now, Pat Sanford has been on the stand already for a couple of days, going through a lot of the phone calls that Charlie Adelson made to Donna Adelson and to Katie McBanoa, and then Katie McBanoa to Sigfredo Garcia. So if you want to listen to all of those phone calls, you can go look at day 5 and listen to all those phone calls that were made. Pretty tedious stuff, but we're going to cut through a lot of that stuff and get to the most important parts that I believe are worthwhile highlighting. So we had Pat Sanford continued on the stand and continue with a little bit more direct examination before we got to cross-examination. So first they spoke about Katie McBanoa's proffer. Now you'll remember that Katie McBanoa gave a proffer because she wanted to, after all, come clean and say that she really testified falsely on the stand in her own trial, and now she wants to come clean because who knows, maybe this will help her somehow be able to see her children, that since she's serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole, she definitely wants to see her children. So she decided, you know what, I'm going to come clean, and she gave a proffer. And they actually learned some more information from the proffer. So that was brought out. And what they learned was that actually Charlie met her at a certain time. And at that meeting, that is when he asked Katie McBanoa if she knows someone who can help them out with their problem, that is. Now, we moved on from there and we listened to some jail call that Donna made to Charlie Adelson. And there was also some mentions in some of these phone calls about Donna perhaps going to sleep. Now, what happened here is that this was actually a point of emotion, because what happened here is that there was a phone call between Charlie Adelson and Donna Adelson, and of course, all phone calls are recorded when they're made from jail. But it seemed that the phone call got cut off, but Donna forgot to hang up the phone. And therefore, all of this was still recorded, all of her conversations that she was having when she was not on the phone. She thought she was not on the phone with Charlie Adelson, but she was having conversations with Harvey and whoever else was at her house at that point. And that's when she was talking about perhaps maybe going to sleep. After all, she lived a great life. She went places, and maybe at this point of her life where she has one child who doesn't speak to her anymore, Robert, and she has Charlie in jail for the rest of his life without the possibility of parole, and Wendy not really speaking to her, she was starting to doubt whether she should stay awake. So that was one part that came out with the testimony of Pat Sanford. Also, an interesting thing that came out was that we know that Wendy told Donna Adelson that the reason why she cannot talk to Donna is because her lawyer told her that she shouldn't really have any conversations with Donna Adelson about Charlie or anything like that. And it actually came out that Wendy's attorney never told her that. Okay, so whatever you want to do with that information, you can file that away. But that was another thing that came out. And also, she was talking about some of the codes, the safe codes that she wants to share with Wendy, and some papers and some wills, things that she wanted to wrap up of her life, whether she's going to Vietnam for an extended vacation or if she's going to sleep. So she wanted to share that information with Wendy, but Wendy was not being so communicative with her, and she was not making herself available, and she was very concerned about this. Donna Adelson was texting Wendy, we need your business help. We need some help with your business, with some business. And then there was also some conversations about whether there is extradition with Vietnam. Does Vietnam have an extradition treaty with the United States? She also said that her family was cursed. But one of the interesting parts here was that this phone call, since it was really not technically between Donna Adelson and Charlie Adelson, is that admissible at all? Was there some sort of expectation of privacy? So this was actually a motion that was filed. Previously, we actually broke it down in one of our previous videos, but the judge ruled that, yes, it is admissible, even though Donna forgot to hang up the phone. Everything that was caught on that line would still be admissible, which is why we heard it in the trial, and definitely is not helpful for Donna Adelson. So then we know that on November 13th, 2023 was when she was eventually intercepted and arrested as she was boarding the plane on her one-way ticket to Vietnam. They seized her cell phone, which she did not really want to give up so easily, and she fought with them a little bit, but eventually she had to obviously let go of the phone, and that's how they were able to get her phone. Now, they also got this planner. So Donna Adelson had a planner, and what was very interesting is that in the planner, in the back, by the notes, there was Dan Markel's license plate. So what was his license plate number doing there in a 2014 planner that Donna had? So that's why the prosecution is going to make a case that she was actually being helpful with this conspiracy. She was a part of the conspiracy, and that's why she should be considered treated like a principal, which would therefore make her guilty of first-degree murder. Okay, then we moved on to cross-examination. So cross-examination, she pointed out, the defense attorney that is, this is Jackie Fulford, that Charlie likes to talk a lot. What does Donna like to do? Donna likes to write a lot. And nevertheless, we never saw that Donna wrote anything specific about this conspiracy or about how she wants Dan Markel taken care of, that problem taken care of like that. So, you would think that if Donna likes to write a lot, maybe she would write about that. Also, she brought up the fact that, if you don't hear the entire conversation, because the prosecution, even though it seems like we listened to all the conversations that Charlie had with Donna, we didn't hear every single minute of it. So there could have been some more context from those phone conversations. So she brought up that point. Now, of course, the defense is not going to play any of those recordings because they're probably not so helpful for them, but she still wanted to play with this idea that maybe there's some other context there that the jury doesn't know about. And there's also a lot of talk about the traffic in South Florida. As we know, one of the big issues in this case is that Donna Adelson, it took 2 hours to go about an hour. And during that time, she was probably in front of Charlie's house or in Charlie's house. But you never know. It could be traffic was very heavy that time of day or that night when she was traveling. And it's Florida, and Florida can be trafficky. So maybe that's also a reason why she was just took her so much longer to travel those 2 hours. Also, she brought up the fact that sometimes you make mistakes in your work. Don't you make mistakes? You don't always have the right person. Person of interest doesn't always turn out to be a suspect. So brought up that point. You're also not aware of what was said when they were not on the phone, right? They had also private meetings with each other, which you were not able to record. So maybe there were some things said in their private conversations, which you did not hear, which could also provide some context or some explanations to all these code words that they were using or conversations, which seemed to be very inculpatory, but who knows? Maybe actually they were talking about properties. Who knows? Maybe tenants, maybe actual TVs or broken TVs. Also, she brought up the fact that Kim McManaway lied in the trials. So Kim McManaway decides that she's going to come clean all of a sudden. Who says? Who's maybe now this is another lie that she is giving and testifying to. As we know, the proffer was different from the actual testimony. What she said in the proffer was not exactly the same as she said in the testimony. So you know that. Also, remember this Vietnam trip that she took, this one-way ticket to Vietnam. Well, Vietnam, even though it's a non-extradition country, but they do extradite for murder. So that wouldn't be such a great idea to go to a country where they do extradite for murder. So maybe this actually was a little vacation that they were taking before they came back. Also, the fact that there was no warrant for her arrest. This is an issue that they spoke about in the motions and the motion hearings, which we covered also, that, look, if there's no warrant to Donna Adelson for Donna Adelson's arrest, well, then she's legally entitled to travel anywhere that she wants. And initially, they actually filed this motion that therefore the prosecution should not be able to make the argument that it's consciousness of guilt because there's no warrant for her arrest. So why would you think that she's running away because she's guilty? Maybe this is a real vacation. And the judge ruled, well, you can make that argument, but it doesn't mean that it's not admissible. So that's what happened previously. So now this is their best attempt at showing that there's no warrant, so there's nothing wrong with her traveling. In fact, the attorney, they checked with their attorney, Dan Rashbaum, who said it's okay to travel. They also checked with Jason Newland from the U.S. Attorney's Office. And I'm not sure if they actually checked with Jason Newland, or Jason Newland just told them that throughout maybe his deposition that it would be okay for her to travel if she does not have a warrant for arrest. So technically, just because it's not illegal to travel anywhere doesn't mean that it's not consciousness of guilt, right? That's still true. Also, the fact that the visa was a tourist visa. So, they're just there to tour. They're there to tour Vietnam. And finally, they brought the fact that the grandkids, Wendy Adelson's kids, had a bar mitzvah. There was a bar mitzvah scheduled for January, which would mean that, of course, Donna's not going to miss her grandson's bar mitzvah. Just because she's going on a little vacation to Vietnam in November doesn't mean that she's going to miss the bar mitzvah in January. So we can assume that she's going to come back to that. It was in her planner, after all, the bar mitzvah. So there's likely that she's coming back, right? So that was, again, another point that the prosecution made. Now, there was one point which I thought was very interesting, because you had Jason Newland on the stand, and he was doing his best not to laugh. Something became very funny here. I don't know exactly what it was. Nothing obvious from the questions, but maybe somebody in the gallery was making him laugh. But there was something here that I thought was just interesting. So take a look at this. And this just had me going at the time. So take a look. They're going to sidebar now. Now, take a look at that. Come on. He is really trying to suppress some sort of laughter there. Take a look. Really, really trying to hold it in right there. And then the camera cuts away from him, so we couldn't see the rest of that. But then later he gives another glance into over to sidebar. And again, he starts trying to really hold back a laugh. So I don't know what exactly was so funny there, but something definitely made him start smiling and starting to bite his cheeks or tongue or whatever he was doing over there. But anyway, okay. So continuing on, the last point that she brought out on cross-examination is the fact that Donna actually never said specifically or wrote specifically that she wanted anything to happen to Dan Markel. Definitely not a murder or anything like that. Okay. So that was that. And then there was some redirect that the reason why they didn't play all of the phone calls is because we don't want to torture the jury listening to every single conversation that she had. But guess what? It's all in evidence. So if the jury really wants to listen to all of those hours and hours of conversations between Charlie and Donna and Katie McBaniel, the jury is free to do so. So that is all in evidence. Okay. Then we had Jonathan Grossman, who testified very, very quickly, very briefly about the luggage that Donna and Harvey's luggage that they checked in for that trip to Vietnam, and some of the pictures and a letter to Wendy. Okay. Then we had Patricia Bird testify. So Patricia Bird is what we refer to as a jailhouse snitch. She is an inmate at Leon County Jail, and she was there because she violated a probation on a felony case, which carries with it a 15-year sentence. And also she's facing another 5 years for something else on a pending case. And here she's trying to help out the prosecution in this case. So this happens because, they want to have a deal. They have some sort of deal that Patricia Bird doesn't want to spend 15 years in jail and another 5 years on top of that. So perhaps this is why she's helping out. And a lot of people don't give a lot of stock into what these jailhouse snitches say, because, they're just doing it because they want to help their own case. So how credible are they anyway? But nevertheless, it's still something interesting that came out in the case. And if the jury believes it, again, when you take the totality, everybody loves to hear that word, the totality of all the evidence, or the totality of all the circumstances together, well, then maybe the jury will believe Patricia Bird that she's actually saying the truth. So one thing the prosecutor right away establishes is that there was no promise or deal between them and Patricia Bird testifying. Maybe she has a deal with a different prosecutor, but they didn't offer anything for Patricia Bird to testify in any way or the other. And she is just here to say the truth. Now, she was in custody with Donna Adelson for about 6 to 7 months in Leon County in the same pod. In fact, she slept in the bed right next to Donna Adelson. They had meals together, and they had a lot of downtime together, and they spoke a lot about Donna Adelson's case. They became friendly with, she became friendly with Donna Adelson. And this is where the most important part of her testimony came out, which let's get to right now. This is at 5. Give me one moment while we get there, and you can hear it from her herself. All right, take a listen.
Yes.
To her, I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Once you and Donna Adelson became close friends, did she ever talk to you about her pending case, this case?
She did.
When y'all would have those conversations, did you ever outright ask her whether she did what she's accused of?
I did.
And what?
And I'm sure everyone's thinking about the Shawshank Redemption right now, because everybody says, hey, what were you in here for? Oh, I didn't do it. But here, Donna Adelson actually said a different answer, according to Patricia.
What did she say to that?
She said she did. It was to keep her grandkids, but it wasn't supposed to go that far.
Okay. So she said she did do it, and she did it to keep her grandkids.
Yes.
But she didn't expect it to go this far.
Yes.
And guess what? Even if you don't expect it to go that far, that's still a problem. You're not allowed to hire anybody to go and rough somebody up. And if it turns into a murder, well, then you're still going to be liable the same way. So it's not really going to be helpful to argue that either.
Did Donna Adelson ever ask if you were ever in custody with a woman named Catherine McDaniel?
Yes, she did.
And were you ever in custody with Catherine McDaniel?
Yes.
Was that several years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
And about how long were you in custody with McDaniel for?
About a year or two.
Now, did you tell Donna Adelson that? Did you let her know that you had been in custody with McDaniel?
Yes.
Since you had been in custody with McDaniel, once Donna Adelson knew that, what did Donna Adelson want you to do?
She wanted me to say that Ms. Beaumont told me when we killed him, I knew my boyfriend's parents had money.
Okay, so basically, she and some other people did this crime, and they did it because her boyfriend's parents had money.
Yes.
Who did she want you to tell that to?
She wanted me to tell it to whoever came up and asked me about it, and the investigators.
Okay. Did she offer you anything in exchange for you providing that information?
Yes.
What did she offer you?
A trailer and some land, and she would have her husband fix my teeth.
Okay. So, like, if you got out of custody, she'd help you buy a trailer and land?
Yes.
And that her husband could fix your teeth?
Yes.
Like veneers?
Yes.
So there you go. There is a bribe of veneers for Patricia if she would only say that Katie McBanawa told her that this was all one big extortion plot from her boyfriend. Okay, so that was Patricia Bird. And she also said that she bought her canteen and commissary, that Donna Adelson took care of her. And eventually Patricia Bird spoke to her attorneys about what Donna Adelson told her. And that's probably why you see her in trial today, testifying in the hopes that that's going to help her in her own personal case. Okay, now on cross-examination, they pointed out a few things, that the fact that she did mess up some of the details of when which investigator came to speak to her, and she also testified that Katie McBanawa is manipulative. So there's another point that she made, and also the fact that Donna Adelson just wrote checks. Didn't she just tell you that she just wrote checks and she didn't plan the murder herself? And she testified, that her job was just to write the checks. But on redirect, that was taken care of because she was asked specifically, did you talk to Donna Adelson about what she's being accused of and whether she admitted that she did what she's accused of, not just writing checks blindly, not knowing what's going on. And to that's what Donna Adelson said, yes, I did it. So this is, again, Patricia Bird testifying. Then we had Dina Burnernhard. So Dina Burnernhard was another inmate at Leon County. And again, she's for a violation of probation in a federal case, which she's also facing 15 years and then an additional 5 years. So she's also facing the same amount of time that Patricia Bird was facing. And this prosecutor, again, did not promise her anything. Wasn't this prosecution. So maybe she has her own case with other prosecutors and other deals that are worked out. And also this lady, Dina Burnernhard, has 27 prior convictions. So it's again to show that, I mean, as a prosecutor, you want to bring this out anyway, but it's again to show, okay, this may not be the most trustworthy person in the world, but this is, again, with the totality of all the evidence, does this all make sense? And can the jury believe Drina? All right. So she also testified that she became very friendly with Donna Adelson. She even called her jail daughter. She called her Sunshine. She made pictures for her, wrote her letters, and they spoke about the grandchildren, and that she's very close with the grandchildren. Donna Adelson, that is. She's very close with her grandchildren, and she'd even call them her own children. And she discussed the case with her very often. So initially, and when everything happened, which we're going to hear about soon, she reached out to the police. This is Drina reached out to the police because she did it selfishly. She wanted to see if it can help her in her own personal case. But then she says, after she initially reached out for selfish reasons, she decided that really this is only justice for Dan Markel's family anyway. So she really wants the truth to come out one way or the other, whether this is going to help her or not. She wants justice for Dan Markel. Now, she also testified that Donna Adelson was very worried about Robert Adelson's testimony, which she should be, because Robert Adelson was the first witness who probably really hurt Donna Adelson's chances of getting an acquittal in this case. Again, each day added more and more and more, but he was the first really bombshell testimony there. And she said that she was very concerned about Robert Adelson's testimony. And then also Drina happened to know Katie McBanoa from being locked up with her before. Now, this is someone with 27 prior convictions. She has a drug problem, and she's a resident, a very repeat resident of Leon County Jail. So she said that Donna Adelson actually tried to recruit her and asked her if she'd be willing to testify that Katie McBanoa told Drina basically the same idea that she tried to get Patricia to say, that Katie told Drina that this was all an extortion plot from Katie McBanoa's boyfriend, Sigfredo Garcia, and this is all just exactly how Charlie said it. It was an extortion theory. And not only that she tried to get her to testify, but she actually prepared a script. And this is what was shown in court, the script that Donna Adelson wrote out for Drina, for her to remember these questions and these answers, what she's supposed to say to some of these questions, some of the answers. And Drina testified that according to the script, this is not exactly how Katie McBanoa talks. She would never talk this way. This is obviously Donna Adelson writing out the script of what she should say, what Drina should say, Katie McBanoa told her. All right. Well, she took that, she sent it to the state. The state copied it and then sent it back. All right. So she also got packages and she got phone calls from Donna Adelson. Donna Adelson allowed her to make phone calls. It's very expensive in jail. And therefore, Donna Adelson was trying to bribe her in that way. She also said that she's going to give her $10,000 and a grand piano and some cameras. And also she needs pills because she's a recovering drug addict. And there's nothing that will help you get clean from drugs and taking more drugs. So she said that if you get out of jail, then you can just call Dr. Obed, and we have connections with Dr. Obed, and he'll just write you the script for whatever pills that you need to take in order to, of course, help you with your drug addiction. Now, how would she actually get the money? Well, she was not familiar with this, Drina, but she said it was something called Zelle, some way to send money with people through Zelle, and also to communicate with Harvey on some sort of app called Signal. Okay, so that was Drina's testimony, and on cross-examination actually did a pretty decent job showing how there's a very strong reason why Drina would want to help the prosecution in this case. She's a repeat offender. She's always violating probation. She's always going back on drugs. She's facing very serious time in jail, and she keeps violating. And, who says that there's ever going to be another deal for her? Well, maybe if she testifies in this high-profile case and helps them, then maybe that's the only way that she's ever going to get out of this 15-year sentence or plus another 5 years. So she brought it out at that point out. And then also the fact that when she went to speak to Donna Adelson in the pod, when they were setting this all up, she made sure that she was on camera when she was talking to Donna Adelson so that they can confirm that this conversation actually happened, and it would bolster her credibility that she's not just making this up to help her get out of jail. She's actually having these conversations, and you see papers going back and forth, and she never told her what to write. At one point they suggested, the defense suggested that maybe Drina was writing this script herself, but no, and not only did she not write the script, but she never told Donna Adelson what to write either. Okay, now also on redirect, They just had to bring out the fact that we had nothing to do with this whole plea deal that you're in trouble with your violating probation and facing all this time. We had nothing to do with it. We didn't offer you any sort of treatment or deals if you testify. You're just here to say the truth. And also, very interestingly, is that you actually provided this script that Donna Adelson gave to you before all of this violation and all these serious charges that you're facing, right? So you already were cooperating way before all of this that you're facing right now. So that was a very important part. Okay. Then we had Kate Butler testifying. Kate Butler testified that she is an expert in handwriting analysis. So just to make sure that the defense is not going to argue somehow that this is not Donna Adelson's handwriting, maybe it's some other person's handwriting, they had a handwriting analysis expert show how this handwriting from the script that Donna Adelson gave to Dina is actually Donna Adelson writing it. And that's very interesting, but that was the point. That was a very quick point that, yes, it is Donna Adelson's handwriting. Okay. Then we had Sergeant Corbett come back on the stand. And there was some going through some other Google searches that Donna Adelson did, searching things like extortion versus blackmail. And then we have some interesting text messages. Okay, so take a look at these text messages, and you will see why it's going to be much harder to argue that Donna Adelson really had no idea about the extortion theory, and this is all just one wild theory. You could have argued at some point, maybe if Donna Adelson would not have sent these texts, that, this is just her son asking her for some money, and she's just doing what her son asks without knowing this wild extortion theory, right? Which is a little bit more believable that here's a Donna Adelson, a grandmother, and Charlie just asking her to make out some checks from the Adelson Institute, and really she had nothing to do with it. She had no idea about what was going on. And, this is just listening to your son. But once you see some of these text messages, you'll see how actually she was pretty part of this extortion theory. So listen to, let's see, just take a look at these text messages. We'll pull up for you in one moment here. Here we go. Okay, so this is the text messages, if you can see it. I'll read it for you if you're on the podcast. But it says that these are text messages that Donna Adelson sent to a number of different people, and where she's saying, finally, the truth is out. And this is after Charlie Adelson took the stand. Remember, Charlie Adelson took the stand in his case where he started talking about the extortion theory, how he was all extorted. This is all one big extortion from Katie McBanoa, that these her boyfriend, Sanford Garcia and Luis Rivera, did this on their own because they wanted to extort money from the Adelsons. And he knew nothing of the better. He just was paying it because he was scared and he didn't want to go to the police, because the Latin Kings, you don't want to go to the police when it's the Latin King. So here you have a number of text messages where Donna Adelson is saying, yeah, finally the truth is out. Like, yes, I knew this the entire time, but now I'm able to share with you that before this, we know that Dan Rashbaum said that we have to keep this defense under wraps. And only once Charlie Adelson testifies, then we can start talking about the truth. And here you see Donna Adelson saying, oh, finally the truth is out, meaning that, yes, she kind of knew this the entire time. So therefore, to say that she didn't really know anything about this extortion theory is really not going to be a great argument to make. So there you got that. And then there's some other interesting text messages here. Let's go to one more text message I can show you here. So take a look at this. This is a text message from Donna Adelson to Wendy. I'm sorry this has been our life for so many years. It's been torture, but your lawyer didn't want you to know what happened. I think if you did, our relationship and your with Charlie would have been much different. I hope he knew what he was doing. Your testimony was crucial. Let's see what a jury does to him and to the rest of us. You know I'm next, but that won't happen. I'll take care of that. And then I'm not sure if the rest is blanked out or blotted out somehow, but that is what the text message is. And she's saying, you know that I'm next. Interesting. All right. Well, that some more text messages from Donna Adelson to Wendy Adelson. And then we have a different idea. Okay, now take a look at this. Now, if this was all an extortion theory, if this is all extortion the entire time, then when Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera get arrested, what do you think Charlie Adelson reaction would be? He would be so excited. He'd be so happy because now finally these people who were extorting him are now caught. And finally, he doesn't have to continue paying these people. Well, let's take a look at actually what he sent in the text message, which also kind of blows up that whole theory. So this is right here. Did you see, this is from Charlie to Donna. Did you see in the paper, this is right after Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera get locked up or get convicted, or I should say Sigfredo Garcia. Did you see in the paper where the state's star witness that rented the hotel room is a convicted cocaine dealer? Maybe those guys were just up in Tallahassee buying drugs and just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe the coke dealer did it because Danny did not pay for his drugs, just like he stiffed everybody else he did business with. This whole thing is just crazy. So this is Charlie suggesting, oh, maybe this happened in the murder. Nothing about extortion, nothing about, oh, great, I'm glad they finally got the right guys here. This is a whole nother theory that we never heard about. So that really also takes care of the entire extortion theory. So they're not going to, you're going to have to really explain that text message if they decide to take the stand and go with this extortion theory. And then there was some other text messages from Donna about after the verdict, she texted Wendy Adelson something about burying her in a certain dress. Okay, so then we had the fast track. Right after that, you got right after Charlie Adelson's conviction, then they showed the fast track emergency visa text messages that she's trying to get her emergency fast track visas. She stopped Amazon deliveries. She left a note in her apartment to sell the gun that she had, canceled disability insurance. Then she has a planner showing the plans to Vietnam and also the searches for the non-extradition countries after Charlie Adelson's verdict. She also wanted to sell her jewelry and the implants and the comic collection. So this is really the last straw of the prosecution's case where they're showing everything here. It shows that Donna Adelson was part of it. She's trying to run away. She knew that she was next. And at one point, she was also even talking about going to sleep a number of times. So that was the extent of the testimony really that came in on day 6. And then the state rested. So now there's going to be a motion for directed verdict starting off the day on Wednesday, which is going, Tuesday, day 7, which is going to be denied immediately before the words get out of the defense's mouth. Well, I should say he'll let them make a record, but they're going to put some ideas together and try to make an argument for a directed verdict. And by the way, sometimes if you just want to preserve the record, you can just say, Your Honor, we make a motion for directed verdict, even though you know it's going to get denied. And then the judge will say, okay, denied, and then you move on. But we'll see. Maybe we'll see a more elaborate motion for directed verdict. And then the question is going to be, what is the defense going to be put on for their case, if anything? Or are they just going to move to closing arguments and try to come up with some sort of extortion theory? So that is where we stand today at the end of Labor Day. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. Join us again tomorrow for the live stream starting at 9 a.m. Unless the time changes, but I believe it's 9 a.m. We will be here for the continued trial of Donna Adelson, day 7, which may wrap it up. So don't miss it. We'll see you all here back tomorrow. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and like, and we will see you next time.